I'm not too worried about it.
Hi, everybody. Stephanie Kraft here. Today I'm with Dr. Q from the Indian Palm Leaf Reading Institute. The reason I wanted to invite him onto the channel and share him with everybody is that I actually had a palm leaf reading myself about 5 months ago, and it blew my mind. It was so amazing. It's a life changing experience, and probably not a lot of people know about it. So, welcome, Dr. Q. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing the Indian Palm Leaf Reading Institute with us. Please tell us all about it. What does this even mean? How does it even work? And yeah, give us the background.
Thank you, Stephanie, for having me on your show today. And I will do my utmost to explain things as plainly as possible so that people understand what this rather powerful and mysterious ancient wisdom is all about. Allow me to start with a quote that is commonly attributed to a philosopher, a Roman philosopher known as Seneca. People more often suffer in imagination than in reality. People more often suffer in imagination than in reality. And ever since I learned that quote, and I do like quotes in life because they have always been my anchor. I even tattoo them sometimes here, Pantorei, Via Finis Est, to remind me of the power of our mind. Our mind can play a lot of tricks on us. And we do really suffer. Me too. I'm just a human being, just like everyone else too. More often in imagination, meaning thinking about what could go wrong than what actually happens. Whatever reality might be, we can deep dive into that too. So the tool of an Indian palm leaf reading can help people to come out of this imagination and co-create, and lead a life in reality, whatever reality might be, which, as I said, we can dive into that too. Now, we coined the term Indian palm leaf reading as nobody in the West really knows what this is all about. I stumbled upon it myself. My biggest cross in life has always been health. I've spent more time in hospitals than most people. I'm pretty sure of that. Already starting as a kid with a hole in my brain. And then I ended up having cancer as a teenager. Some of you might remember the biggest nuclear catastrophe that has happened till today, known as Chernobyl, 1986. Now I know, or at least then my physician, my cancer doctor, was also a politician in Austria. She was the Secretary of Health. She became the Secretary of Health later on. She told me most likely it comes from Chernobyl because 2 years later I developed cancer, and I spent 6 months, a long time within a time frame of 3 years in hospital. So I do know how it feels to be um, challenged with a potential passing on, transforming into an angel with wings and a halo, and that you have needles in your arms, I had 1,000 over the years. It's not an exaggeration. Physically, 1,000 in my veins, and that is the beginning of my spiritual journey. Ultimately, what led me into this rabbit hole of spirituality. When I was young, I thought, oh, I'm going to figure it all out. And when I'm an adult, like by now, I will know it all. Boy, oh boy, was I mistaken, because the deeper you go, the bigger it gets, and the more confusing it gets. All you can gather is just more information, more wisdom. And then somehow, hopefully, it helps you to maneuver your life ship, into more productive, kind, giving, helpful waters. So Indian palm leaf reading, we coined it because really nobody in the West knows. So I thought we would give it a literal name, Indian. So hopefully people understand it comes from India. Palm leaf, so people hopefully understand there is some palm leaves involved, not the palm of your hand, not tea leaves. And the reading, that there is some sort of message involved in all of this. In India, we call it Nadi reading, Nadi astrology, Nadi Shastra. Nadi has many different meanings. Nadi can mean pulse. If you do yoga maybe or Ayurveda, representing life. Nadi means the leaf on which the message is written on. Nadi also means seeker, the person who seeks the information on a leaf. But Nadi could also mean the exact moment in time a message is divulged to the seeker, not a day before, not a day later. So when you had your reading, Stephanie, that day was your Nadi, the exact moment in time. So I had my reading, by now must have been 13 years ago, I think, or 12 years ago, quite some time ago. As I ended up in hospital again as an adult with myocarditis. In case you do not know what that is, it's an inflammation of your heart muscle, which can cause death, of course. I had water in my heart sac, pneumonia, water in my lungs. And I have to thank my closest friend and the co-founder of our institute, Emise in English, who really saved my life by putting me on a train from Budapest to Vienna. Vienna is where I was born and lived for a while. My mom's Austrian, by the way. My dad's Persian, so I grew up in several countries actually. But at the time, I was in Vienna when I had cancer, and Emise is from Budapest. So she put me on a train. I went to the same cancer hospital. And that saved my life ultimately because I collapsed that day. I mean, how lucky am I? I could have collapsed here in Budapest. I'm talking to you now from Budapest, which is the capital city of Hungary in Central Europe. If you haven't heard of it, if you haven't been here, folks out there, come and visit. Beautiful cities indeed. And I spent a month in hospital again and 10 days in the ICU. And Meshi came to visit me. She even washed me. That was a very humbling experience because I couldn't hardly move. I had 42 degrees Celsius. I keep forgetting it's 107, 108, something like that, Fahrenheit. You are in a delirious state. I did not know if it's a Monday or Sunday morning or evening. I had no idea. I was sweating profusely. And so I couldn't walk, I couldn't move at all, period. And so she came and washed me. And that was also a moving moment for me. That's me as a fit, fairly young person had to be taken care of. But it's Meshi who told me then, look, she heard something on local Hungarian TV or radio or both, that there is something you can do about karma, because I told her when she was visiting me, I said, I don't understand why I get sick so many times and I knock on heaven's door. And yet every time I knock on heaven's door, they say, not yet, your suffering isn't over. You got to go back and you got to stay there. And I was like, yeah, well, so I thought it must have to do with karma. And she said, wow, and I just heard something on local Hungarian news. There is something you can do, which now we call, Indian palm leaf reading, as you can clean your karma with a reading. I said, oh my God, that sounds fantastic because I'm sick and tired of ending up in hospital. I said, if I survive, I'll get it done. And naturally, I survived. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today chit-chatting with you. And so I had my first reading 12 years ago. And by the way, folks, in case you haven't noticed yet, I'm an average white guy. I have nothing to do with India. I have no Indian genes in me at all. And yet, 12 years later, we now run the world's largest Nadi astrology institute. And I've helped, I don't even know how many, 10,000 people over the past 12 years get their reading done. In the reading, of course, blew my mind. I didn't have the guide that you have today, me explaining things to you. We didn't really know what it exactly means. I just knew some sort of a reading, and then you get some homework done, and then you can overcome the blocks somehow identified in your reading. And that's all I knew. And I gathered that as I was listening to the reader, and I had to take notes. And the accent was very strong. And I was like, oh my God, I had to ask him 50 times, can you please repeat? Can you please repeat? So it wasn't as comfortable as your reading, Stephanie, because we now have moderators who repeat things for you if you need to know something. They explain things to you in more detail. And I train them all to make sure that whoever gets a reading for us really gets the most out of their reading. But I remember, when he was identifying my leaf, and we can get deeper into that if you want. And he was, and it comes in a sing-song way, because the whole process, dear friends out there, is meant as a healing experience. And that's the reason why the reader shares the message with you in a sing-song way. Dum ba-dum 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 ba-dum. It's the vibrations in his voice that are meant to subconsciously, subliminally already heal you. And so I was listening because, of course, I didn't understand a single word of Tamil. He was saying Bam Badam Badam Gisela. I was like, oh my God, that's my mother's name, you know? And I guarantee he has never heard that name before in his life. Guaranteed not. And I said, Dam Badam Badam Badam, father's name is Siavash. And I know for sure he's never heard of that name either. I was in shock. I really had to like focus to not just drop the pen and not write things down. And ultimately, the reading told me that I got parents from different continents. True, you know, that I lived in different countries, that I suffered as a teenager from a major health issue, and that I have heart issues. I didn't tell him anything. Like that was all on the leaf. He just confirmed it with me, and I said, sure. And so he again gave me a reading. And in a by sentence, I'm telling you, I've nothing to do. I had nothing to do with India. I like yoga. I've been doing it for 30 years. I like meditation. I've meditated for 30 years, of course. And I like spicy food, you know, I just like it. But that's my sole connection with India, period. Not more than that. And I didn't grow up in a spiritual household either. My parents, my parents were a lottery win to me, really fantastic parents, loving, giving, kind, supportive. But would I call them spiritual? Not really, really. Actually, absolutely not. My dad, bless his heart, couldn't even pronounce the word yoga until he died. He kept saying yoga. And I said, Daddy, yoga is something completely different. It's called yoga. And it was like, really? Okay. Next time, he again said yoga. Anyway, for the friends out there, yugas are the huge time periods that we have. There are four of them. And now we are in Kali Yuga, which is the dark times, you know, winter times. At any rate, the guy, you know, the reader told me, oh, you're going to bring this to the West. I was like, yeah, right. The only reason why I'm here to get a reading is to overcome the blocks. I don't want to be in hospital anymore. No more tubes down my throat. No more, you know, needles up my veins. That's it. That was the only aim that I had. But I'm a very enthusiastic, inspiring human being, and I can also speak in an entertaining way, engaging way. So I shared my experience with friends and family, of course. I mean, it was an amazing thing. And mind you, I've done many crazy and not so crazy things, you know, Vipassana meditation in complete silence for like 2 weeks. Went to shamans in the Amazon, plant medicine, left, right, and center. I don't know, Reiki, I don't know, Rolfing, all of it. I just wanted to know, and many psychotherapies, group therapy. Oh my God, Hoffman process, you name it. And so people know who know me, they know that I like to experiment and like to go deep into whatever it is just to see, because I want to pierce the veil. I want to know what's behind it. Because this, whatever we call reality, might not necessarily be reality, or whatever it is. We do not know. So I shared my experience, and people said, "Oh my God, that sounds amazing. I'd like to get a reading done too." So, and I'm a traveler. You need to know that too. I traveled my entire life. I own a big travel business too, and I still travel and take groups through Europe. So to me, travel is second nature. I've been almost everywhere I can possibly think of. But so I said, great. So let's go to India. You know, oh, again, we're going to organize a little group of us going there. And that's when I realized that most Western people actually will never go to India. I would say 80%, 90%. They will just never go to India. It's too hot for them. The food's too spicy. They're scared of it. You know, the poverty. You know, there are many different reasons. You need to get inoculation, maybe long flight. So, and that is when I thought, okay, how can I help them? Because I was convinced it's a very good thing. So I asked the reader, can we do it over Skype? Remember Skype? It doesn't even exist anymore. So he said, sure. And that is how things started. And I was in every reading because I knew my buddies and my folks, you know, cousins and stuff would never be able to understand the Indian accent. I had a hard time. But since I travel so much, you know, it's easy for me and I speak several languages, so it was okay. So I was sitting in every reading, retranslating, if you wish, and explaining things as they went along. And after a while, I ended up helping people that I've never even heard of, friends of a friend of a friend. It was like, who the hell are you? And how come you're here? And, you know, mind you, it was always meant as good karma work. When before we even established this institute, which is now over 10 years old, legally speaking, I just wanted to be of help. And I never thought it would become so big. So ever since that moment, I've only done this as good karma work. I've not received a single dollar in remuneration from the Institute. I give it all back. So sitting here is also during my free time, as my sole aim is to help people out there to get an authentic, ethical reading and to help everyone else who's involved in it, my readers, my Indians, the interpreters in India, and the orphanage that we support. So all of that is good karma work. And that is when it dawned on me. I said, oh my God, the reader told me you're going to bring this to the West. And so I was talking to Meshi, my best friend, in Budapest, and I said, Meshi, maybe we should establish, put it into a legal framework and see where that takes us. So over 10 years ago, we put it into a legal framework. We're based in the US, of course, because that's I used to live in the US for a long time. And the rest is history. So we pay our taxes in the US. My accountant is in the US, my CPA, the whole institute is in the US. But our team is all over the world. We got Europeans, South Africans, people that are working in the office, and seekers. We call them seekers because Nadi also means seeker. Seekers from all over the world, really. Now as far away as in Australia, New Zealand, Middle East, even, Africa. It's quite amazing how far this baby has gone. And so here we are. So the platform is up and running, and you had a reading, and then you and I started to chit chat a little bit. And then I believe you said, hey, maybe I can be on your YouTube channel, on your podcast, so I can spread it to your peeps here. And I said, sure. And here we are. Now, I can continue if you want, or if you have a question, I can answer it before we continue.
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
Just keep going, keep going. Okay. So the process is really the same as it has been for several thousand years. Allow me to start with the beginning. There is no written record of any of this. There isn't. It's only word of mouth. So legend has it that about, the oldest go back 7,000 years. That so-called Maharishis. Maharishi means great sage. That's the 18 main Tamil Siddhars. Tamil wise man. Tamil Nadu, is the southernmost state of India. It goes around the tip of India. It's similar-ish to California, only that California is on the west coast in the US and Tamil Nadu is on the east coast. And it's also a little elongated. One big difference, there is almost 85 million Tamils in this one state alone. And Tamil Nadu is a country within the country. It's quite different to the rest of them. Why? Tamils only speak Tamil. The whole country of India, almost 1.5 billion people, they have one common language known as Hindi. The Tamil Nadu does not teach Hindi in school. They only teach Tamil. So that means that even an Indian who visits Tamil Nadu is a foreigner. They need to converse in English, and vice versa. And the vast majority of Tamils are also vegetarians. And as far as I know, it might be the state with the most temples per capita in the whole country. So it's a very spiritual place. And Tamils are very proud to say that it's the original part of India. The rest came later. Of course, we're talking about a time when there was no India at all. People at the time didn't even know that there is anything outside of India to begin with, because we're talking thousands of years ago. So these Tamil siddhas, in deep meditation, they invoke the powers of primarily Shiva and his wife Parvati, male and female energies in Hindu mythology, in order to be able to tap into the Akashic records, download the information, and then telepathically have their disciples write it down. Now, when you put your historical glasses on, and I got real ones on, otherwise I wouldn't be able to see any of the screen here talking to you. There was no paper, there was no ink, there was no paper. So how to preserve the information? Very smart idea, is southern India, like the tropical parts where Tamil Nadu is. They have these gigantic palm leaves, really different to what my US friends out there are used to. They're really, really, really big, not necessarily the trees, but the leaves, So they cut them into about give or take, 10, 15 inches long. They're not standardized, so it could be longer, a little shorter, a little wider, but roughly this is a bundle or a book, which I will explain in a minute. So they cut them into these parts, and then they etched into the fresh leaf the information in a language called Granta, ancient Tamil, which is not used anymore. Now they speak modern Tamil. And then when the leaf dried, the message came through. And that is how they preserved these nadi leaves. But not only nadi leaves, they preserved recipes, a legal text, astronomy, all of it. That's how they preserved information at the time in what is now known as southern India. And the real juicy part of these books or bundles is when it comes to Nadi astrology. And they're now with Nadi reading families. In the old days, some of you might know if you've been to India, that we had the caste system in India, which was officially abolished about 20 years ago. So there is no more, at least officially speaking, no more caste system. But I guarantee you within 30 seconds, an Indian knows exactly in which caste the other person belongs to. So it's still very much alive, but just not officially anymore. So that we had a Nadi reading caste too. And only Nadi reading members of a Nadi reading caste could give you a reading. Nowadays, people outside the caste, because officially doesn't exist anymore, can become a Nadi reader. All they need to do is they need to find like a guru, a teacher, to teach them how to become a reader. And then they can do that too. And nowadays, mind you, what might be of interest to you too, because until now, there was only male readers, only male, that's it. But the government has opened it up for lady readers too. Just saying, so if you're whoever's out there, if you know Tamil, you can also become an Nadi reader as a lady. And so they inscribed it on these leaves, and then they put them together, similar souls travel together in a book or bundle. This is a book or bundle. That means every single leaf, and there are, I can open it up for you. Every single leaf in this book or bundle, which is a demo version, but nonetheless, we copied a real bundle onto plastic. And the reason being, I had a real one. I took sometimes a real one with me as a loaner and then return it. And then I told people, please don't touch, because it's several hundred years old. And what do people do when you say don't touch? They touch. And that's why I said, that's not good. So then we had this copied, so I can, when I travel and give talks, people can touch it as much as they want. I said, you can even lick it if you want to, because it makes no difference. And you're not related to another person, but you're in the same soul group. The single most important aspect of Nadi reading is your thumbprint. That's it. The secret in all of this lies in your thumbprint category type. Women left, men right. It has to do with female and male energies. Shiva is on the right side, Parvati's wife on the left side, hence left represents female energies and right side represents male energies. You would, today too, the same system has been going on for thousands of years. You would submit your thumbprint, and then the reader would look at your thumbprint, literally speaking through a magnifying glass, and then identify your thumbprint category type. There are thousands of thumbprint category types, but only 108 carry a leaf, a message, 108. And 108, I would say, is the holiest number in Hinduism. If yours is within 108, chances are that there is a leaf for you. So knowing this, knowing that you're male or female, obviously, when you submit left or right, and please don't try to trick the reader being a lady submitting your right thumbprint, because I can tell you within a second, look, this is a right thumbprint or that's a left thumbprint. So people tried that before too. I said, look, I can see this right away. There is no need to do this. So, and by the way, it's gender at birth, because in the meantime, for 10,000 readings, we had a few transgender people too. And the gender at birth is the one that counts. Cool. So you submit it accordingly. We look at it, identify your thumping category type, and then the reader goes on a physical search for these books or bundles. There is no one single archive. There isn't. People think that that's the case, but it's not. There are hundreds, maybe thousands, but for sure hundreds upon hundreds of small home-based archives. So it's not an archive that you might think of, water dispenser, security guard, air conditioning, none of that. We're India, a little chaos. It's usually, a back room in somebody's home, a naughty reading dynasty. And they kept their 200, 550, I don't know, 1,000 bundles from generation to generation, because that was their livelihood. And so the reader today would go into one archive after the next, the next, searching for a book or bundle that would match your thumbprint category type. And there is a symbol on top or number, so you don't have to open the bundle. You can see right away, okay, this book corresponds to your thumbprint category type. So after a while, he finds one or two and brings them back to the office. This is called search for book or bundle, search for bundle. That's the first of a three-step process. Step one, you submit your thumbprint, reader goes on a physical search, and I mean physical. There is no register of any kind. There is no computer system involved. The reader goes physically, which again, people have a hard time understanding, from one little archive, to the next, to the next, to the next. He's either walking because it's his neighbor, or hopping on his bicycle or on his moped. And if it's too far away, sometimes hops on a bus and travels 2 hours to another one to check it out. Of course, modern times have kicked in too. Nowadays, he can also call his buddy, 5 hours away and say, hey, look, my friend, do you have a bundle that corresponds to this particular thumbprint category type? And then the agent would go and look, in a faraway part of Tamil Nadu, and then say yes or no. And if he says yes, it's not shipped either. They don't ship it. They don't put it like in a, what's it called, a UPS bag and have it shipped over. They physically deliver it. So somebody comes to give it to the reader because they don't want it to get lost, obviously, So there is a lot of man hours involved to get this done. If I had 1,000 readers, of course, I could do this in a couple of days, when you submit your thumbprint, but I don't. And it takes a lot of time and energy to find a reputable reader who fits into our institute. And I can get into that a little later on too. So whoever does it with us, you got to be patient. The average search time is 2 to 5 months, give or take. It takes time. Can it happen that after 5 days you get an email saying, congratulations, we found it? Of course, it can. Absolutely. But I just don't want to let you know this now. And then after 5 days, you start sending us an email every day. Has it been found? Has it been found? No, it hasn't. We will let you know. We haven't forgotten. And it all happens in divine timing. So once he brings it back to the office, if you were in India, you would, of course, walk into a reader's office. People think that's so much more romantic and authentic. I'm telling you guys, I've done this myself. And I had cancer, and the chemotherapy and the radiation really messed with my nose and the way I perceive scents and smell. I'm very, very, very sensitive to it. The guy burns 20 incense sticks in his tiny little back room, I thought he's hitting me with a sledgehammer. That's like, I could hardly breathe. And then there is mosquitoes, it's humidity. We're talking 110 degrees, no air conditioning, of course. You sweat your tushy off. And then you're sitting there trying to follow what the reader's telling you. So it is maybe not as romantic as you might think, compared to you doing it from the comfort of your home. You sip a cup of tea in the morning or coffee, or, you can put on your air conditioning or the heater, depending on when you do it during the year. So it's, trust me, it's a lot more comfortable experience from home, because that's the whole purpose of our institute, to deliver authentic, ethical readings, or have an authentic reading from the comfort of your home. Really, that's the whole name of the game. Step 2 and 3 are matching of your leaf and then the reading of the message. So 3 steps that have been the same for generations. What does matching mean? Matching means The reader identifies your actual leaf in the bundle. Remember, every single one of these leaves represents a soul brother, soul sister. You're not related to them, but it could be a gentleman from France, a lady from Australia, not born yet, already passed on. We do not know, but they share the same thumbprint category type. It's important for you to know why, because during this matching process, and that's why we have a moderator in every call too, you might think, oh my God, this is mine. And yet it's not yours because it's similar to you, right? Maybe that happened to you too in your reading. You're like, oh my God, this could be mine. And the moderator's been trained to just hold your horses. We're going to go through everything step by step, and we will identify if it's yours or not. So the reader knows nothing about you, absolutely nothing, just your thumbprint category type. That's all he's interested in. He knows that you're female, male, thumbprint category type. That's it. And then the matching starts. The reader opens up your bundle, looks at the very first leaf, and it's quite an astounding experience, I should say, because the reader only goes off with the what's written on your leaf. So he looks at the very first leaf. Before we start with the matching process, please know it's written in a not used language anymore, known as Granta or ancient Tamil. Now they speak modern Tamil. That means the reader needs to study ancient Tamil. It's kind of like modern Greek and ancient Greek, kind of like, Two, Tamil and ancient Tamil both are syllabic languages, sound-based, not letter-based, like Chinese Mandarin. If we had to convert Tamil and its sounds to an alphabet system like German, English, French, Spanish, Persian too, then it would have 247 letters. 247, a lot. It's written as a poem, not in prose. It would be awesome if it said, this leaf belongs to Stephanie. No, it's not that easy. It's written as a poem and primarily as a conversation between Shiva and Parvati. The reader simplifies it by reading out the message, but that is how it usually works. Question, answer as a poem. Nowadays, I have to explain this in more detail because people think, oh, I just had my reading. I'm going to upload it to my AI and they're just going to tell me what it says. In the end, the AI says that's gibberish. It means nothing. So you got scammed. BS, my friends, you need to decode it and AI cannot do it. That's just the way it is. Okay. So dead language, syllabic language, poetic way. And last but not least, as the icing on the cake, it is written in code. It's compressed information into symbols. Hence, they need to be decoded by a person who knows what they're doing. ChatGPT and their friends do not know that at all. They just try to take it literally, and it many times makes no sense or comes up as a poem, which is also beautiful, but you need to know how to decode it. Given the process behind it, the reader looks at it and reads out a statement to you. Not a question, it's a statement. And matching represents the reality that you're in at the time of the matching. Whatever your reality is that you're experiencing, that should match it. For example, reader says, oh, you are married because this leaf belongs to a married soul. And if you're married at the time, you will say yes. If you're not, you say no. That's it. Only yes, no, right, wrong, correct or incorrect. If you say yes, he stays on the leaf and goes deeper. You have 2 siblings, you got 3 children, you say yes, he goes deeper. If you say no, that's not your leaf, he flips over and starts with a new leaf. No notes taken at all. He just reads it off the leaf itself. You do not need to give any more information than a yes or no. Trust me. Let's say you're going through divorce at the time of the matching, and he says you're married. You need to say, yes, I'm married. No need to say, yes, I'm married, but I'm going through divorce. That's irrelevant to the reader. It doesn't represent your reality. It's just yes, no, that's it. But you need to help the reader too, because it's a syllabic language. And some letters have the same symbol. A-E-I-O-U is one symbol. He can only say, for example, the second letter of your first name has an A-E-I-O-U. Is it correct? If you say, yes, that's correct, then he needs to say which one, because he needs to know which direction to decode it, right? So we need to support the reader a little bit in this journey too, so he knows where to take the leaf. A successful matching means the reader who knows nothing about you then reads out to you your first name, your mother's first name, father's first name, in many cases, your husband's or wife's first name, your spouse. And I've been in one or two readings in my lifetime. So I've had it sometimes when they tell you the ex-spouse's name too. Not just one of them, two, three of them. I had a lady who was married 6 times. They told four of her six ex-husbands. She almost got a heart attack. So when you're born, your date of birth, the weekday of birth, time of birth, if you have any siblings, how many siblings, and their gender, and how many children you have. So it's you, guaranteed. Excuse me. That's called matching. It is the wow part, because you're like, oh my God, I can verify it. And to all the folks out there who think, oh my God, they hacked my social security, or I don't know, they go into Facebook or whatever they do. No, there's not enough money in this. One, two, we do this as good karma work. If you truly think that anyone, at least in our institute, spends a minute on Googling anyone, or let alone hacking into your social security, which we had before, and people say, oh, you hacked into my social security, there is no way you could have known any of this. It's like, do you really think that my reader, who has to travel an hour plus to the office, who has no, how should I say it in a Western way, no toilet at home, there's a hole in the floor that is their toilet. Do you really think that the reader spends a minute, given the way they live, on trying to hack with high IT skills into your social security? Do you really think that? If that's the case, then don't get a reading. That's it. It's as simple as that. Either you trust my pretty face, and I do my utmost to
And
keep it as
he
pretty.
doesn't speak English. The reader doesn't even
The
know.
reader doesn't speak English, correct? Yeah, we haven't even gone to that point yet. Yes, correct. We have an interpreter who we also train to improve their English. So we spend extra time and energy to train the interpreter who interprets Tamil to English to speak better and better English, Western English, because Indian English is a little different. They have their own words they use and how they pronounce things. So that's called matching. And then having the search of the bundle being successful, matching being successful. Finally, we get to the reading part, and the reading is why you want a Nadi astrology reading. As the number one, if I condense it and boil it down to the most important sentence there is, these Maharishis, thousands of years ago, had one thing in mind and one thing only: to help the seeker. That would be you, Stephanie, that was me, and everyone else who got a reading, not just through our institute in general, to help the seeker create a better life trajectory for themselves. Better, whatever better means to you. To me, very simple: no more tubes on my throat, no more needles on my veins. Some people want to find, I don't know, a partner, have children, better, more money, better work environment, more in alignment with their soul, whatever it might be, just better, 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 better. And they wrote these leaves for only old souls. So whoever gets a reading, congratulations, you are almost done with the seemingly never-ending vicious cycle, if I may call it like that, of birth and rebirth called samsara. The whole aim of these Maharishis is to help you create a better life trajectory for yourself. As you do that, help others create a better life trajectory for themselves, and then reach moksha, liberation, reunification with the eternal source. You can stick your toes into a sandy beach, sip your pina colada under a palm tree for the rest of eternity, and be done with it. You do not need to come back. Birth and rebirth. After how many hundreds and thousands of times you've done that to grow as a soul, you're done. And as you are close to the finish line, these Maharishi said, you know what? We really want to make sure this poor soul makes it across finish line and reaches moksha. And then we have had another one graduated from the cycle of life. You can be stupid enough, and I say this also tongue in cheek, you can come back voluntarily. then you're a remokshat soul, a time traveler, a light worker. But what can I say? Then the blame is on you. Until now, you can say, I don't want to be here, but I have to because we all have to go through this cycle. But there's some crazy ones. They come back voluntarily, and they're called remokshat souls. And Reverend Bill McDonald, who lives near Sacramento in Elk Grove, became one of my best friends. And I met him through the readings here too. He's a remokshat soul. And it does not mean, and the reading will tell you that. Are you last lifer, remokshat, whatever? Remokshat are very rare. He didn't have an easy life either. He really hasn't. He's Reverend, he's 80 years old and an amazing human being. And he's a big supporter of our cause, and I, of course, support him too. And he was in Vietnam, exposed to Agent Orange, and he had 40 surgeries trying to recover from terrible skin cancer. So it wasn't so easy. It doesn't mean that just because you volunteered to come back, you drive your convertible Porsche on a German highway the entire life. No, regrettably not. It could be a tough one too. So reading, folks, helps you create a better life trajectory, right? So that you, because you're about to reach moksha, you're deemed to help others. That's the big picture here, the big, big, big picture. You're deemed as a person, as a soul about to reach moksha, help others. So I'm stepping back a little bit, Stephanie. We have 4 yugas. We started to talk about the yugas, the big 4 times periods, tens of thousands of years long. We can compare them to the seasons, easy maybe, summer, winter, and so forth. So at the moment, we're in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the worst of times. It's winter. Good news is we're at the tail end of it. We do not know how much longer, but we know it's getting closer to the end. And so these Maharishis in their eternal wisdom, they also lived in Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga is a very, very, very long time period, even in the Tamil sense, because there is the big, big, big Vedic sense, and there is a shorter Tamil version of it. They said, you know what, we're in dark times. And what does it mean, Kali Yuga? It means that out of 100% of souls embodied in a human form, only 25%, so that's only a quarter, is on the righteous path. They know internally, intrinsically, what's right, what's wrong. They do good things. They could be firefighters, teachers, police officers, nurses, physicians, Reiki healers, doesn't matter. Lawyers, off service. And for as long as you do your off service ethically, you can make millions with it. Good for you, right? You'd want to do it ethically. So only 25% of souls are on the righteous path, Dharma. Within the 25%, only a few are last lifers, old souls. So for that minority of the minority, the rishis wrote the leaves, because we're carrying the brunt of 75% on our shoulders to make life easier for ourselves and help us so we can help others, one reading at a time, trickle effect, so that all of humanity can come out of this Kali Yuga into Satya Yuga, the golden times, where 100% of humanity is on the righteous path. That means we've overcome envy, jealousy, and all the nonsense that we as humans do, backstabbing, power hungry, and so forth. We're on the way, right? And that is why the Maharishis wrote these leaves. So that's the big picture. And now coming down again, focusing on the reading itself. The reading is meant as a guideline, compass. Must not be taken verbatim. Must not. That's the biggest mistake you can make. No one's life is set in stone. It cannot, because if it were, you and I, Steph, would both be puppets, marionettes. But we got free will and choice. And I'm 100% convinced of that. How much we have is a different story, but we can make a conscious decision. Do I drink coffee or tea? That's a small one. Do I turn left or right? Or how do I respond if somebody's insulting me, stealing from me, unkind to me? I have a choice. I do. Might not sound easy. It might not be easy, correct, to keep your calm and still be polite to someone who's not polite, kind to you. But we do have a choice. We really do. And that is what I mean by free will and choice. So our lives are not predestined. They're not. It's a guideline. It's a choice. So you, when you receive your reading, can decide, oh my God, I like this, what I hear. That means I'm on the right trajectory in my life. Now I need to do what I can do to make it my reality. When the reading says it's a good time from age 45 to 48 or whatever to publish a book, you still have to write it, edit it, find someone to publish it, self-publish it, whatever. You got to do the steps beforehand so that during this time period, you can actually publish it. It's a simple thing. But if it's a block, quote unquote, bad or ugly, that's how people maybe perceive it, energetically speaking. That means a block is identified, which in essence actually is a blessing in disguise. Embrace it with all your heart, because the block existed beforehand too. You were just not aware of it. You might have seen the outcome, like banging your head against the same wall over and over again, bad relationship, not enough money in your pocket, I don't know, abuse, health issues, like me. And the block can be karmic, planetary, generational, family. There's so many different blocks you can have. And the reading identifies it. How beautiful is that? Now you know I got a block and the block is karmic. And the real power of the reading is the remedies prescribed for each block identified in your reading. We've come full circle. The secret is your thumbprint. Without it, no reading. You get a reading as a guideline. It gives you the good, the bad, and the ugly. You still have to do something to make it a reality. If it's good, perfect. Do something for it. If it's bad, quote unquote, well, you have a choice. It tells you age 78 to 82, you get lung cancer and die. Maybe. Well, stop smoking now so it will never happen then. It's a snapshot based on today's energies when you get your reading. Hence, you must not take it verbatim. It's a guideline. If you don't like what you hear, beautiful. You can change the course of your ship and maneuver it into calmer and more fulfilling waters. So the real power, the real gift in the reading are the remedies. And the remedies are the only part of your reading that you must take verbatim, because that will be your way of showing the universe that you're serious about change. If a block is identified, health issue, relationship issue, whatever it might be, and they tell you, look, do this puja. A puja literally translated means prayer ceremony or ceremonial act. So either a mantra in the Hindu tradition or do something physically, like feed the needy, or donate clothes, easy. Anyone can do it. If I can do it, you can do it too. And these are energy shifting exercises, as I call them, energy shifting. Why? And I guess with that, I don't want to bore you more than I've already maybe done. If you might know, you might not, the most perfect curve in the universe is a sine curve. Maybe you remember from math in school. If we were in a perfect sine curve, would be angels with wings. We're not there yet. So what we can do as humans, we can try to be as close as possible to a sine curve. And the closer our vibration to being a sine curve is, the more fulfilling we perceive our life to be. Good health, friendship, family life, money, whatever. Perfect. It's a flow. But the further away we are from this perfect curve, all over the place, then either parts of our life or the whole thing is a mess. Drug abuse, alcohol, I don't know, not enough money in our pockets, terrible job, and so forth. So what a puja does, and it only works if you do it with all your heart and the intention as you do it to overcome the blocks identified in your reading. If you really do it with all your heart, you start shifting energies a little bit at a time. They're very easy. Anyone can do it, by the way. It's just you need to do it at a specific time, date, 18 Sundays. So that's 4.5 months, once a week for 5 minutes. Anyone can do it really. Or I don't know, a year on every full moon day or new moon day, something like that. Do this mantra. Or donate food or feed the needy on 7 consecutive birthdays. That will be a physical act, right? So it takes a while, but it's easy to be done. It doesn't take so much time. And you really want to do it exactly on the day prescribed, because the cycle, 18 Sundays in a row, is only done if indeed you do 18 Sundays in a row. If you miss a Sunday, it doesn't count anymore. You got to start from scratch again. That way you show the universe, look, I'm serious. I understand there is a block, and I'll do everything that I can consciously to help overcome it, change the frequency. And as you start changing frequency, you will see, oh, my reality has started to shift. And that is the true power of a reading and a puja. I try to be as concise as I possibly can and entertaining, hopefully, too.
Wow. Thank you for explaining all of that. So in
Oh, you're
depth.
welcome.
It is so amazing. I just finished my last puja on
Oh, congratulations.
this new moon solar eclipse we just had on
Correct.
August
2 days ago.
12th, which I
Yeah.
thought was an interesting day to have the ending of my pujas.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
me,
absolutely.
they
Yeah.
lasted 5 months. So my reading was 5 months ago. I had several pujas to do on, every new moon for 5 months plus certain days of the week for a
Yeah.
certain number of times. So I completed all of that. And also, you mentioned that it can take, several months for somebody. I just want to kind of explain that a little bit more. The first thing you do is you submit your thumbprint, and then you get put on a waiting list, and then they do the search for if you happen to have a bundle. And the only people that have a palm leaf bundle are people who it's their second to last lifetime, their last lifetime, or like you said, the Remoksha souls who volunteered to come back. Even though they graduated from the Earth School, they came back one more time in service.
Hmm.
So those are the only 3 categories of people that actually
Perfect.
have a palm leaf. And it's
Hmm.
it's it's just fascinating because the Maharishis meditated thousands of years ago, and these souls are existing today, and you just happen to have a palm leaf, and it seems impossible. But
Yeah.
it's I had asked this question one time. I can't remember if it was, anyway, I think it might have, I saw an interview with you where you answered this question, which I had in my mind. Actually, I didn't verbally ask you, but it was answered in one of your interviews, which is how did they know that Stephanie Kraft would be here in 2026 when they meditated on the souls thousands of years ago? And your answer was brilliant. It was, there is no time. And so when Stephanie Kraft submits her thumbprint, the
Yeah.
Maharishis thousands of years ago say, "Oh,
Yes.
we have a soul coming up. We're going to
Yes.
meditate on this one now."
Yes.
And then in that time,
Yes.
there's no time. So that,
There is no time. Yeah.
yeah, that's the answer. And also about being patient, I submitted my thumbprint and I had to wait 1 year, which I fully expected. I wasn't impatient. I was as patient as you can be, not even waiting for it. And so I just want to say that because we don't know how long it's going to take for them to find your bundle and then for you to, make
Schedule
your,
your reading. Yeah.
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 So, I just want people to know it could be a few months or it could be, like in my case, it was a year, but it was perfect. And you've said this before in other interviews, which is whenever you have your nadi reading, it is exactly at the right moment in time. And
Correct.
that was absolutely true for me. And just to share with people, it's so mind blowing because they're reading the leaves and you're just saying yes or no or correct or incorrect, And then when they finally got to my leaf, I kept saying yes because the information was correct. And they named my mother's name, my father's name. They're both American. And they named my ex husband's name. Well, he's from Turkey, so his name is Turkish.
Different.
And
Yes.
they even said, the reader even said that name, which is, and they, my exact birthday, my exact day of birth, my exact time of birth, and you don't submit any of that. You submit your thumbprint, like you
Yeah, we
said,
don't.
as male or
Mhm.
female. That's it.
That's
And
it.
so
Yeah.
it's so mind blowing. And they also told me everything about my life. I mean, not only everything about my life, but my inner being, my inner world, my mentality, my emotional state. Not right now, but my entire life, my entire way of being is in the reading. So that was so, all of it was so mind blowing because how do they know? And then at the end, they said that I would be working with Nadi Astrology, which I just happened to remember, I think this morning when I was like taking a shower, I was like, oh yeah, they said that. I have no, just like you had no inclination to do this,
No.
they told you, and then who the heck knows how that's going to show up in my life. I am an astrologer, but I don't even know what Nadi Astrology is. At this point, I haven't even looked it up to see like what is this form of astrology. I don't know, but yeah, I just wanted to add those little tidbits to share because it's unbelievable that this exists
It
and that
is.
it's
I
so
know.
accurate.
It is. Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. So
Right. And my life
yeah,
has gotten better since I started the pujas and
I'm very happy to
changed.
hear.
My life has shifted. So it's
Very happy to
interesting.
hear.
And the
Yes.
other thing is if you get another reading at any point in time in the future, it will also be accurate for your changed whoever you
Absolutely.
are on that day, which is also miraculous.
It is. Yeah. I had two readings in my lifetime. The original one, 12, 13 years ago, and then 3 years after that, 3 years after that, the second one. So in the first reading, again, it was a by sentence. It was not the main message, at least not even to me. You're going to bring this to the West. And then in the 2 years, when I had my second reading, we put the institute together. We established it legally speaking on February 16th, 2016. So it's now 10 and some years ago. And I had my second reading again, in India. It was maybe 2 months later, something like that, maybe in April of 2016. So I was sitting across from the reader and he looks at me, he opens the bundle, looks at me, different reader, not the same reader as my first reading. And he looks at me and he's confused. I remember that so well as if it were just yesterday. He looks at the leaf, he looks at me and says, "You are doing this," with a question mark, because he couldn't believe that a white guy, I'm not an Indian at all, I don't even speak in Tamil, "You're doing this?" It was a statement and a question at the same time. And I was like, well, yes and no, I don't do it myself, but I put together a little institute where we offer this. And so it reflected already my new reality on the leaf itself. It was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Yeah. And yeah, it's mind
It's
numbing. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. That makes
Yes,
me, just curious to have another reading at some point in my life
you
because
can.
how amazing would that be, having the first one, then the second one to see what
Yeah.
that shift would be like. It's amazing.
You can have several readings in your lifetime. I know people that had 6, 7 readings. Our institute had people 4 readings already in the 12 years that I've been doing it. It's such a complex, I mean, it's a universe of its own. It's a rabbit hole that never stops. In 12 years, I really learned almost anything you can possibly learn about Nadi astrology, just as a hobby, and I'm a scholar at heart, because I was at the university and I like to study things and get deeper into it. The more I learn, the more it's like, oh my God, there is no end to it. There is no end to it. And because we got so many questions, 10,000 readings means times 10, times 20 emails, a lot. People asking this and that. So finally, I had the time to write a book, which came out maybe 2 months ago, Nadia Astrology. decoding your ancient Indian palm leaf. And it's still a number one on Amazon, 2 months down. So there's a lot of people who are interested in it. And I try to write it in the way I speak, in an entertaining way. So it's not boring. It's not facts. It's stories, but with a lot of meat to it, taking you deep, deep, deep down the rabbit hole, explaining what is time, what's enlightenment, what's moksha, what's karma, and weave it all in the framework of Nadi astrology. What is Nadi astrology at its core, and the way it's connected to the yugas, the Maharishis, the Saptarishis, any and all of it. I try to bring into a book that I hoped 12, 13 years ago when I heard about it was out there so I could learn something about it before actually getting a reading. I couldn't find any for 12 years because I've been running this for 12 years now. And I've been always trying to find, maybe there is a book somewhere, but there it wasn't, absolutely not. So then over the years, I always, I was a student too, I learned as much as I possibly could. I took notes and then connected dots. And then eventually I said, you know what? It was during COVID. You know what? Maybe I should put it together. And it took a couple of years to actually finish it, but I did. And then everything else just unfolded very, very swiftly. So if you're interested in it, it's an entertaining book. I hope maybe you read it too, or parts of it,
Yeah,
or
I'm absolutely
boom.
100% going to
It's
order that book, and I've been meaning to. Thank you. Can you hold it up one more time for
sure,
everybody?
of course.
Make sure everybody can see. It's called Naughty Astrology, and at the bottom, lift it up just a little so we can see the. Okay, Dr. Q. Yeah. So
Dr. Shimoda, my
so
picture, look, that's me. You see in the back. And you see our website. If you want to book, I mean, you can go on our website and it connects you to the link where you can buy it. But if you want to book a reading, I guess I forgot to talk about that too. You go to indianpalmleafreading.com, indianpalmleafreading.com. You click on it and it says start my search. We try to, on purpose, folks, on purpose, keep the price as low as possible. I could easily by now charge double, but we don't want to do that. I want to keep it affordable to as many people as possible. And if you still have money issues, money blocks, trust me, you send me an email. I'm here to help every single person with any issues they might have. So money, I still make no money with this. Imagine it's a full-time job running the institute, and I still have a job which requires me to travel extensively. So my work comes from the heart, really, and everyone else who's involved in the institute too. Send us an email, info@indianpalmleafreading.com, info@indianpalmleafreading.com, letting me know, look, I got money issues. I'm more than happy to support you and give you discounts. But for those who can't afford it, it's $100. That's it, $100 for the search for your bundles. You pay $100, we send an email, you submit your thumbprint through our secure platform because we want to make sure that your data is secured. And then you got to be patient because it's going to take a few months. And then at some point, we're going to send you an email saying, congratulations, we found a couple bundles for you. And then you pay $400. So $100 up front, to start the process. And then you pay $400 to get your reading done. And then you choose any day of the week. We offer 7 days a week readings, with a few exceptions. Diwali, Pongal, in India, where just people won't work, period. Christmas, obviously, there's maybe 20 days a year where we don't offer a reading, but 300 and out of 365, I'm sure 340 days you can choose, 345 days, twice a day, 2 times, set times, because of the huge time difference with India. 2 set times we offer readings. For my East Coast friends, it's 6:45 a.m. New York time, East Coast time. Or if you're on the West Coast, it would be 3:45 a.m. If you're an early bird, of course, you can do 3:45 a.m. Otherwise, we offer 9:45 p.m. LA time, California time, so Pacific time, 9:45 p.m., which would be in the middle of the night for my East Coast friends, 12:45 a.m. You can do that too, doesn't matter. But we offer 2 set times, 9:45 p.m. California time, 6:45 a.m. New York time, East Coast time. If you live outside the US, of course, it's easier. Australians have no issues, and Asian folks, because we got Europeans have no issues either. We chose these two times on purpose because they really cover the world with a tiny discomfort. So you got to get up once in your lifetime a little earlier to get a 6:45 a.m. reading, or you stay up a little later. You get a huge reading for it instead of having to fly to India and all the rest of it. And it takes about 3 to 4 hours. You got to be prepared for that too. And you need to do it in privacy. Very important. People sometimes say, "Oh, can I have my husband in sitting in it or my wife? We're the best friends ever." I said, "No, you cannot. You can share the recording with your partner afterwards, but you do not want to have another soul next to you, especially not one that you feel connected to, because a reading can disclose secrets that you don't want to share with your partner." Just saying, I've done this once or twice in my lifetime. It's not my first rodeo, as they say, and I've seen a lot of stories unfold where we told specifically, do not have another person in it, unless it's a friend and an interpreter. Let's say you're a Chinese person or a French person, you don't speak English well enough, and then you have a friend to okay, that's a different story. But to have your child in it, or as a child, your parent in it, or as a husband, wife, absolutely not. That's the worst thing you can do. Trust me, not good.
Yes, they do talk about, uh,
Secret
yeah,
lovers,
exactly.
or, I don't know, your sexual orientation,
Right.
whatever. I mean, I'm
Secrets.
just saying,
Yeah.
it's just the reality. Your secrets are safe with us,
Right.
but maybe you don't want your family to know about it. So then be by yourself.
Yeah. And it is recorded. And so the way that the setup is that the Tamil reader, he's a man in India who does not speak English. You
Yes, correct.
and then they have and he's sing-songing, your leaf.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
then there's an Indian interpreter
Interpreter.
who
Yes.
speaks English,
Hmm.
who's translating that, and then there's a Western English speaking person to translate, even though the Indian man is speaking English. Sometimes they have a thick accent and some of the words you're not catching. That's why there's a Western interpreter in
Yes.
English for the Indian English
Yes.
speaking person. So there are three
Oh,
people
yeah. Three people
on
involved. Yeah.
in your session with you,
Yes.
um, and it
True.
works
Thank you.
out
Yeah.
very well
Yeah.
because the moderator, that's
Hmm.
the Western
There was a
interpreter,
person. Yeah. Hmm.
that person meets with you first on Zoom just to, greet you,
Yeah. Hmm.
orient you to the process, and then and mine was 4 hours long. And then at the end, the Indian man says goodbye and the Indian interpreter says goodbye, and then your moderator stays on with you just to finalize your session, make sure if you have any
Yes.
questions, and they're holding your hand the whole time so that you know exactly what's happening, and
Yes.
answers all your questions. So it's a really lovely system. And
Thank you. Yes.
also, I Googled, if Indian palm leaf reading was legit. You just Google it and
Of
you find
course.
Reddit, all the conversations on Reddit or any other Facebook groups. And I did a bunch of reading, like people were saying, oh, I think mine was fake, not from your institute, but just out there in the world where people are offering this. And they say, oh, they might have looked me up on the internet. They could have easily found my parents' name, this and that. And I started to have doubts myself. I was like, oh
Sure.
gosh, am I paying $500 or to just throw the money down the
Of
toilet?
course.
And it was scary. And then I but and then I just decided, you know what, if my soul guided me to this, then I'm going to trust it. Because when I saw the interview that you did on Next Level Soul with Alex Ferrari, which I have an interview on there with him too,
Oh, cool.
that's where I saw you first, when you explained that only the people where it's their second to last lifetime, their last lifetime, or they're coming back one more time in service, they've already graduated. I knew, like, this very deep resonance was within my soul that said, I know I have a palm leaf. I know I'm in that category, and I know that they're going to find one for me, and I'm definitely going to do this. So I had to go back to that inner knowing of how I was guided so strongly by my soul to do this. So I went ahead and did it. Obviously, that's why we're sitting here today. And um, what you've talked about this, which is your institute gathers the most qualified, authentic, real
Yes.
readers who, because they have to study for many, many, many years the language,
Yes.
the astrology, how to interpret it. There's so much that goes into studying, and this is probably usually a family, a
It
generational
is.
family.
Usually yes.
This is not just, let's just go to school and learn this thing. It's very deep tradition in the state of Tamil. So, but of course there's going to be fake anything in the world, right? And that's
Absolutely.
why anybody who's listening has to go through your institute. That's me saying that,
Thank you.
because there are fake people out there who are just trying to make money, and maybe I don't know about those, but I know your institute has the authenticated, real,
Thank you.
high
Yes.
integrity readers, because I know, because I did it, and there's no way another soul on the planet could ever know all of the details they said about me and my inner world, the way I think, the way I am, the way I
Yes.
act, in addition to all the details already mentioned, they said. So I wanted to put that out there, because if somebody thinks, oh, well, maybe I can find it here or there and go with somebody else, I would never do that, because you
Yes.
don't know who to trust. And
And you're right.
we're
You're right.
Westerners. People watching this, they're from. I have an international audience, but most people are like English speaking, obviously. So
Mhm.
they need to know where to go. They're not going to know which place to get a reading from. So
Yeah. And thank you for bringing this to your audience's attention. It's sad, but the reality, the majority are fakes. It's just the way it is, and it's saddening to me too that it's my standards, my way of approaching life general. To me, being ethical has always been super important. I just want to graduate and never come back, That's to keep it simple. I didn't have an easy life. So it's important to me to be ethical. Really, it's super important to me. And then when I started to go deeper into this, I had to realize, oh my God, there's so many fakes or um, people with half knowledge. Might not have the worst of intentions, but they just do not know enough. And then we had to learn, and it was a learning curve for me too, to really focus and find people who have high ethical standards themselves. They do it out of service. Of course, they should make money and on purpose, so that you know too, folks out there, we pay our Indians way more than they make at home, with a local customer on purpose. Of course, on purpose. We support an orphanage with the money you give us on purpose. I still make no money with it. I have a job, I want to help people, period. And the bigger the institute gets, the more I can help people. Hopefully, at some point, a second orphanage, and I don't know, maybe we can finally start our cow donations that I have always wanted to do for $1,500 to $2,000, because there are people out there who got money, they want to do something good, and instead of just sending money, I was like, you know what, we can do a cow donation in India, which is huge. You can buy the cow, you can name the cow, we source the family that we can support, locally speaking. And then we bring the cow and we record the cows. Cow Susie is being given to this family of 5 people, and they can survive for several years based on a cow. They don't eat the beef, of course, it's a whole sacred animal, but the milk, butter, milk, and all the rest that comes with it can sustain a family for quite many years. And that's the next big step for us. But for that, I need to maybe clone myself. I do not know. It's just I have a job and this job, so I don't know how to juggle it out. But that's the big drive for me. So please, if you go out there, we have copycats who stole everything from me too. They clone my website, the whole 9 yards, pretending they're spiritual, but they're not. So you have to be careful. It's true, but you can rest assured everyone on our team does the work from heart. Really, we're here to help, support, And if you have money issues, if $500 is too much for you, just send me an email. Really, not an issue. I'm here to help. There are people who support us because they have no money issues, which is beautiful. And then we have always, from day one, allocated money to folks who need support and cannot afford it. So that's it. That's all I can say. Apart from thank you, Stephanie, for having me on your show. Very kind of you.
Well, thank you so much. I know you're so busy, so thank you for coming on. I'm including the link in the description box for this video where people can book and also order your book. So
Thank you. Thank you.
thank
Thank you
you,
very much.
Dr.
Yes.
Q. This has been so wonderful. Thank you
I'm
so
happy to hear.
much.
Oh, of course, of course. Comes from the heart.
I know, we
Big
can
kiss.
tell.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.